Good evening. I'm Andy Erickson. I'm Vice Chair. The Chair's out of town, so I'll be conducting the meeting tonight. I first want to welcome everybody that's here. Raise the hands, how many are new to it? Okay. I'm the guy to see if you got questions, because I like answering questions and help you with how DAC works. So you'll find out more when we go into our breakout sessions today. The other thing is, announcement I have is that next month at our meeting here, we will be doing elections for chairman, and we have so far one that is running for chairman. Please stand. State your name, please.
My name is Scott Hertz, and some of you know me. I've been doing this for a while, and I was asked by some of the folks on the executive council, now that Cindy's stepping down, if I would run for chair to try to keep the momentum going, so I agreed to do that if people are interested in having me do that.
Thank you, Scott. I'm Andy Erickson. I'm the vice chair now, and I'm running for vice chair again. I like it, actually. I like helping people. Okay, so the next thing is the approval of the minutes. You have the minutes with you or not? Scott? Catch that? Cassandra, did you catch those two? Okay. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. Minutes approved. Now, we have any public comment, not DAC members, on the agenda items? Okay, moving on. Our speaker right now on parliamentary procedure presentation will be Mr. Robert Dowitt, School Board Attorney.
Lenny doesn't know my name. Sorry about that. That's okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Robert Dodig. I'm the School Board Attorney, formerly the staff attorney for 13 years. Recently appointed School Board Attorney in July. Mr. Martin has done this presentation with you previously. He retired in July. Lucky Keith. Anyway, congratulations if you're new on the committee, and welcome back if you're a returning person. What that means is that your term either ends in 2019 or 2020 on DAC, okay? Let me talk first. I know the vice chair asked you all to raise your hand if you're new. A lot of you raised your hand. One of the important rules on the board advisory committees is the necessity to participate, okay? So if you miss 3 meetings in a school year, essentially, you can be removed from the committee, okay? So I just want you to know that. That's important. It is something that the board has strived to do to get people on committees that are going to participate. So I urge you to do that. That's in the board policy. 1.20 is in your packet, or I think this committee has gone green. At least that's what I've been told. So the board policy, that's in section 1D of that policy, and I'll be referring to that policy throughout the next several minutes while I'm with you. Another important point in that policy is if you're doing business with the district, I would ask you, you should have disclosed that prior to becoming a member of DAC, but if you haven't, I urge you to disclose that to the board member, or I'm sorry, to your principal. This is different than the other advisory committees where the board members choose people. I advise you to call your principal that appointed you and talk to them about that, okay? Because if and when you have to vote on an issue that comes before the board and somehow you have a conflict, you would have to recuse yourself from that vote. And that's paragraph 1B, as in boy, of the policy 1.20. Next meeting, you'll elect a chair and a vice chair. That was already covered. You will also establish dates and times for meetings, although I think maybe that's already been done for you. You have to provide a report quarterly to the board. Typically, the chair or some other designee does that, comes to a board meeting during the day, a briefing meeting, and provides a quarterly report to the school board. An important point that is seldom used, but something I need to tell you all about, is that you can be removed from this committee. All of the school board advisory committees are asked to be professional in their decorum and the way they treat each other, okay? We don't want the board to have to remove anyone, but it is in board policy that if someone is not professional or, in essence, trying to strive to meet the mission of the school district, you can be removed from a committee. And the board can do that by majority vote, only through board action. But I think it's important for you all to know that. The committee, and I know this is a big group, so I look at Denise and Cassandra. You use Robert's Rules of Order in this big meeting? Yes, you're supposed to. The member that's running for office just shook his head at me. But Robert's Rules is supposed to be followed. Okay, one of the key exceptions for a board advisory committee is a quorum does not have to be present for you to take action. And that's pretty important because a quorum is one more than half or a majority. Well, sometimes I'm not sure if this committee has that many folks in attendance. I know some of our other committees sometimes don't have a quorum, but unlike the school board, you can vote on things without a quorum. So that is one of the exceptions for Robert's Rules. Robert's Rules requires a first, in other words, a motion and a second, and then everybody votes. Public comment at these meetings is required. This is a public meeting of an advisory committee of the school board. Okay, so this committee, it appears, has chosen to take public comment twice during the meeting, but that is certainly something the committee could discuss. You're only required to do it once, but I applaud you for doing it twice. These meetings are public, obviously, so they have to be advertised. If this advisory committee wants to meet on a different date or chooses to meet in addition to the meetings they already have scheduled, the school district is required to notice that meeting 48 hours in advance. So the superintendent's office needs to have that information to be able to post on the district's website, okay? We currently advertise these meetings in the in the newspaper. That is not necessarily something we're going to continue, but they do need to be advertised on the district website, okay? I want to talk to you a little bit about the Sunshine Law with respect to all of you, okay? The business of board advisory committees is essentially board business. You vote on things just like a school board in some respects. So any matter that could come to this committee for a vote, members should not discuss that item with each other unless it's at a public meeting. Okay? I heard someone say, wow. That's the law. So that even applies to emails. Okay? So you can't be emailing each other back and forth and say, hey, how are you going to vote on that? All right? That would be a violation of the public meetings law. If you're going to discuss the business of the committee that's going to come to a vote, the meeting has to be advertised. All right? Also, like the email I just discussed, if you email someone on the committee and it's not an issue that's going to come before this committee, that's fine, okay? But if it pertains to the business of the committee, but it's not something that will be voted on, your email is public record. So someone theoretically could say, I want all of the emails about DAC. And the school district would be required to provide them. And that would include, I just want to put this out there, that could include your email address that you want to kind of keep, although it's not, but you want to keep it private. Okay? So maybe you might want to just create an email address to use just for this committee. I mean, you could do that, that's your choice. But it doesn't matter that it's on your private email. If it's the business of the district or the board, it's public record. Just like your application to come on to this committee would be. Okay? I know that's daunting sometimes. I tell brand new teachers that their application for employment, everything in their personnel file is public record with some exceptions, and sometimes their eyes open very wide. But that's the law in Florida. All of these meetings minutes, I'm sure that's why Cassie's here, one of the reasons, other than basically probably running the show here. She is taking the minutes of the meeting. The meeting has to be obviously open to the public, and I can field some questions if you have any, but that's essentially a rundown of some of your obligations and the law as it's regarding this committee. Any questions about any of that? Yeah. Go ahead.
Amelia Cepeda, Three Oaks Middle School. Just wondering what the definition of doing business is. Does that include partnerships with other state agencies, district agencies, or just things where?
Well, I think the best thing to do, I have the policy up here. I can just read you the language. So when it gets down to the point, which is line 33 of the policy, it says, in quotes, doing business, unquote, with the school district does not include being employed by the school district. Any individual wishing to assume membership on an advisory committee must provide information concerning any business he or she or any entity he or she has a contractual employment relationship with and is doing business with the school board. You're supposed to notify in advance. Members of advisory committees will abstain from voting as an advisory committee member on any matter which may personally benefit the committee member, his or her employer, or any entity he or she presently has a contract with. Does that help you? Okay, good. Yes.
What application? You say you filled out an application to be on this committee. Usually you go to SAC.
Yeah, this is different than the other advisory committee. Like I just spoke to construction advisory. They fill out applications for the board members. So if that doesn't apply to this committee, I understand. Yeah. If there's not one, there's no public record. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I have to do this for all 6 board advisory committees. So any other questions? Not even my former student without a question? No. Sorry, Nate. How are you? Good, good. All right, thank you. I don't know who's up next. I think Ms. Fisher. Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for volunteering your time to be here. I'm sure nobody had anything better to do. I was actually at a anniversary celebration for a school I used to work at, and it's 25 years ago that we opened that school. So it was kind of hard to leave, but I did it because I knew you'd be here, so I wanted to be with you. The school board. This is going to be a very quick update. We have business as usual, and our meetings are all televised, our briefings and our action meetings. So this year is an election year, and so districts 1, 4, 5, and 6 were on the ballot. I'm District 1, and my race was decided in the primary, and I'm very honored to be able to serve for another 4 years. And that's not why I told you that, but for the other districts, I'm hoping that everyone will make sure that you and your friends and family are registered to vote, that you do your homework and research the candidates, and that you do vote in November. And one of the other big things that we've been spending time on as a board is educating the public about the need for the half-penny sales tax. So for those of you who are new to the committee, Cassandra will be sending out the Change for Change to you, and it is also on our website. Plenty of information on our website about it. But I just wanted to say a few things about it. So does Florida give enough money to its public schools or not? many voters have already addressed that in the primary election. Several districts, 10 to be exact, had it on the ballot, a sales tax or some kind of a surtax to help with funding, because over the years our capital fund has diminished $200 million a year in this county. So with lack of funding from the state, becoming a world-class school system becomes more of a challenge. We are one of the fastest growing districts in the country, and we need to not only to maintain the facilities we have now, but we also need to build new schools to accommodate that growth. The other thing is we don't want to incur more debt. We pay about $54 million a year in debt reduction now. That could build a school. So around the state, and even in some heavily conservative counties, voters are opening their wallets to lend extra support to schools. Of the 10 education funding measures on the August 28th ballot, every single one passed. So that's encouraging to us, because we've been hearing, we don't want taxes, we want you to spend your money better. We are doing so much more with so much less now, and that is all explained in our literature on the website. It's an investment in the future. Education drives the economy for the community and is the backbone of our future. So if we let our educational system and our facilities decay, that hurts the whole community, has a terribly negative effect. I did some research, and I noted that when students are not educated and don't stay in school the whole time, they're more likely to become involved in the criminal justice system. The cost of housing an inmate for a year is 9 times more than educating a student for a year. So it's either pay a little bit now or pay more later. A couple of facts. The 2002 class size amendment forced us to put less kids in a classroom, build more schools, and hire more teachers. The state did provide some funding, but not enough. Through the years, we have accumulated a lot of unfunded mandates. And what that means is the state passes a law, tells us what we need to do, but they don't give us the money to do it. For example, the laws requiring schools to give high-stake tests online, which created a need for more computers and more technology infrastructure. In addition, our public education outlay fund, which relies on utility taxes, became a less reliable source of revenue, and it shrank as cell phones became more popular. Then, during the recession years, the state imposed limits on local property taxes, and our property-owning taxpayers now are shouldering most of the burden. In 2009, when we had 2 mills, or $2 per every 1,000 in assessed valuation, the cap was lowered to $1.75. The following year, it went down to $1.50, or 1.5 mils. And it stayed that way because they continued on to impose formulas that either slowed or stopped tax collections from going up when property values rose. So you can see more information on our website, Change for Change. Talk to your friends about it, do your research, and make sure you're registered to vote, and then to consider the facts before you do that. So at this time, I'm going to thank you for being here. I'm not going to take any more of your time, and I'll give the mic back to Andy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Our next presentation will be the volunteer presentation, and Carol Wilkie, Administrator for Parent Communications.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carol Wilkie.
One more announcement.
Here you go.
with this presentation, which will be a number of speakers, we will not have any questions. They'll be coming around to the breakout groups.
Thank you. Hello again. For those of you who don't know me, I am new to this position this year. I used to be out in a school. My name is Carol Wolke. And if you think about Wolke, yeah, that sounds a little familiar, especially if you know what a Wookiee is. All of you that just chuckled are Star Wars fans. Because Chewbacca is a Wookiee. So if you ever forget who was that volunteer contact at the district, just ask for the Star Wars lady and they'll know how to get you to me. So the first of all, I want to welcome you in joining us this evening. And I want to, Ms. Fisher mentioned, thank you for volunteering, which is a great segue into our presentation this evening on volunteerism. Because all of you are our #1 volunteers. So the first question that comes to mind is, how do I volunteer at a school? Well, you did the first step by attending SAC and being elected to our meeting here this evening. But let's say that you want to give up some time during the day and really help out at the individual schools. We've made that process this year even more simpler for you. In the past, you've had to contact me or my predecessor, Ms. Shonak, and submit your application, wait for us to get back to you, and then we sent it on to the schools. Well, we wanted to make sure that we helped simplify those processes, and now we're going to ask you to report directly to the school, because the school is where you're going to ultimately volunteer at anyway. So therefore, we'd like you to visit or contact the school that you're interested in, complete the application at the school. They will run and process the application. And part of processing that application consists of doing the background check along with the sexual predator check. We make sure that all of our volunteers should be around students and are safe to be around students, because safety is our #1 concern. And then lastly, after it's reviewed, that volunteer contact at the school will contact you and let you know when you can begin. Now, at the school, there are many different opportunities. Tonight, we welcome 2 of our principals that are going to be able to give you some of their expertise at their individual levels. But up on the screen are just some opportunities between instructional to clerical items. And again, it's going to vary school by school, level by level. What you see in one elementary school may be different from another, versus a middle school or a high school, depending on what programs that individual school offers and the individual needs of that particular school. For example, at a high school, one high school may have more opportunities when it comes to athletics and helping with concessions or ticket sales or different events that they put on, whereas another high school that has specialty programs that they offer may have opportunities for you to go in and speak with their different career opportunity classes through the different programs. So again, it just varies school by school, program by program, but we want you in our schools. And then also the technical and media assistance, as well as facilitating different items. And facilitating can mean simply reading to that elementary student or listening to them as they go over their math facts. It could also mean attending a field trip. You don't have to have a child out of school to volunteer. Dr. Carlin, you can join me.
All right, well, thank you very much. So we're going to move to the next screen, and so you get to know me a little bit. I am the staff liaison for the District Advisory Committee, and some of you are very familiar faces to me. Others are new, so it's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening. As I said, my name is Denise Carlin, and I am the Executive Director for Strategic Planning and Community Engagement, so you can probably figure out why I'm here with District Advisory Council. It's a real pleasure to get to come here every month because I get to hear all the great ideas that you have as parents. Something that's very important to our office is looking at opportunities for parents to engage with our district at the district level. So I served 22 years in schools and just did exactly what Carol talked about. We had parents and community volunteers who came in and read with children. They helped them check out library books, they did math facts, they mentored, they tutored. There were so many ways to get involved at schools. Raise your hand if you are currently a school volunteer, just helping out with kiddos or doing some sort of project or engagement with the schools. So there you go. So you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't had that opportunity, please know that even like working parents like me and like you, there is always a way to engage. I'm here during the day, but there's lots of ways you can become engaged after hours with your child's school. So I encourage you to do that. But at the district level, we have a couple of ways in which you can be engaged. First thing is what you're doing tonight. You're here for District Advisory Council, and this is our opportunity to talk about issues within the district, to provide you with some information, and then we will have a series of breakout sessions throughout the school year where you will have opportunities to come together as level groups. So elementary will be with elementary, middle will be with middle, high will be with high school, and you can talk about issues through the lens of that particular level. And sometimes the issues in elementary are very different than they look like in high school. So congratulations, you're already engaged at the district level. There are a number of other board advisories. You're probably familiar with construction advisory. If you haven't heard about that one, of course, lots of construction that continues to happen in our district as we grow from 1,500 to 2,000 students a year. There's obviously a need to build some classroom space. We do have a couple of projects, one that just finished, you might have heard of it, Bonita Springs High School. We also have an addition going on at, soon to go on at Lehigh Senior High School, and then we have another school planned for out east. So as the children continue to come to our school district, we need to build the space for them. And the construction advisory does a really nice job of helping us with those, make those decisions, along with a lot of other advice they give us. Continuous systemic improvement. When I first heard about this, I said CSI. I think there was a show called that. What are we doing? Is it a mystery show? Are we solving crimes? What are we doing? No, we're actually looking at the strategic plan and providing input. So if you're interested in strategic planning, or you're a good thinker, you're logical, or you like to think outside the box, you're innovative, continuous systemic improvement could be a committee that you'll want to serve on one of these days. We want you in DAC, though, first, so stay here first. But in another year, you may want to do something different. Curriculum advisory is exactly like it sounds. We have 94,000 students we serve, growing by the day, and we have a curriculum that we teach. And so we want parents and community members engaged in that and talking about what do we teach our children, that is the curriculum. District advisory, we talked about, you're here, so thank you. Equity and diversity. So that is a very important committee, just like all of them. They provide us with some input relative to our student assignment plan. They also take a look at how we're doing with a variety of our students, whether it's discipline data, whether it's out of school suspension data, whether it's attendance data. So they're really looking at all subgroups of students and making sure that there are equitable opportunities provided. So that's the board's oversight committee for that. Finance advisory, again, just like it sounds, if you have a financial background or know somebody that is strong in the area of finance, our CFO comes in with his team and they explain our budget. And there are people in that room that are much more adept at finances than I am. I grew up with a father and many in our family who are financial geniuses. This girl didn't get the gene. I can balance a checkbook. I'm good at math, but I don't hold water next to them. But if you have somebody that you know is a genius with finances, we want people like that, or just have an interest in the area of financials. We want those folks serving on the finance advisory. This is kind of new, relatively new, and I have to give credit to Mrs. Fisher, because I think she has really done a good job shepherding and pulling this group together along with our other board members. We have a student advisory, 1 student per high school, and Mrs. Fisher's at middle as well? Middle. Fantastic. So a group of our secondary students coming together and weighing in on various issues. And we always say that when we have students in the room, we know they're going to give us the truth. Very little feigning with them. They will certainly give us what they truly believe. Another group is ESC Advisory. You probably know in education we use lots of acronyms, ESC, BSC, you know, we've got them all laid out. Students with special needs, so we have parents of students with special needs that serve on the ESC Advisory Committee. And again, it's just taking a look at some of our policies and our practices and making sure that they make sense and that they are benefiting children. You know, we're educators, that's why we got into this business. We want to do what's best, but sometimes we can get too far into it, and making sure that we have lots of fresh eyes looking at our policies and making sure we're always intentionally doing what's best for children. And then textbook adoption. So every 5 years, textbooks are up for adoption on a cycle. There is a schedule. I believe this year, if I'm not mistaken, I think it might be mathematics is up. So we do have some members from our community who are welcome to serve on the Textbook Adoption Committee. If you have an interest in curriculum and instruction, I would say it's one of those committees that's just kind of fun to be on. If you have a special interest in science or social studies or mathematics or reading, ELA, English Language Arts, if you have a special interest in those areas, you know, let us know, and we can certainly get you matched up with the cycle of the adoption. But that's a committee that is appointed through the curriculum department. So just some great quotes about volunteering. We're preaching to the choir here because you're here because you believe in giving back. So some of these quotes probably resonate with you. And if we can move forward. So tonight we are really excited because Carol and I can get up and talk all day long. We were at schools, we know what volunteerism looks like. Many of you have either been in schools or you have volunteered in schools, so you know about those volunteer opportunities. But we have a couple of principals and their teams here tonight, and they're going to talk about what 2018 volunteering in a school looks like, what it sounds like, and what it feels like. So what we'd like to do is turn it over to Dr. Tom Millens from North Fort Myers Academy, and he represents kindergarten through 8th grade at his academy, and he and his team are going to talk with you a little bit about volunteerism. So please welcome Tom and his team.
Oh, I click?
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Obviously, your dedication, you being here tonight, really shows and demonstrates your ability to really participate in school activities, so we thank you for that. Yes, I am Tom Millens. I'm the principal at North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts. It's a K-8 school, which as a K-8 school has a very dynamic, unique situation because I have 9 grade levels under my authority. And when I say 9 grade levels, that's K-5, a 6th, 7th, and 8th, and an arts program at the academy as well. So that's a lot to manage. And one of the things is taking over as principal in the last 3 years, and this is my 3rd year as principal, I knew the importance of having volunteers come into that school to be able to assist to make that K-5 be successful, to make that 6th through 8th be successful, and to make that arts program successful, and make sure not only do I maintain the program that already was put in place, but actually move it to the next level. Today I have to introduce you to a couple of my colleagues here. To my left, Mrs. Dutko, she's my assistant principal. She's going to be able to share a couple things with you as well today. And of course, Mrs. Heidi Bungard, she is my parent coordinator that is going to talk to you a little bit about her responsibilities at the school as well. The purpose today is to talk about 3 things. I want to be able to provide some things that North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts is doing currently to improve volunteerism at my school. There also is a tool that we are using to bring about change and trying to get parents that want to volunteer an easy access way to do it, and to do it on their terms instead of the terms that I'm dictating to them. So we're going to talk about that. And the third thing I want to share with you is to give you some strategies on what you can do if you are a parent in here as well, to go to your administrator, or if you are a volunteer, and maybe enlighten some other things that you might be able to work on as well. There are many facets to volunteers at a school. Parent schedules are very complex, and work schedules are very complex. We know a parent might not be able to volunteer 3 or 4 days in a classroom. We know that a parent might not be able to volunteer 1 day in a classroom. But we know if we have special events, and those special events are dictated through a calendar through the course of the year, a parent can go on, and that's the tool that I'm talking about, and sign up for a specific event that they might want to participate in. For example, if they want to go to a PTO meeting, or they want to participate in a field day or on a field trip, that they can go on and they can say, okay, I can do this. I can't do 3 days a week, but I can participate this time. So we're going to have a conversation about that. And also, we want to talk to you about strategies to get involved. The other thing I want to share with you is there are many different special events that we have. Field days. I give a couple of examples up here. Veterans Day, PTO events, fundraising opportunities, booster clubs. I have a band program at my school, and I have a booster club that supports. So these are all parents that come in. They work great right along with my band director. They raise money. They participate in the program, and that's one set of volunteers that helps my school to become successful. When you see foundation at an art school, I have an arts foundation. My arts foundation is made up of 2 boards. I have an executive board, and I have an actual board of directors. And when money comes in through things that we do throughout the course of the year, that money goes through that foundation, and it goes right back to the students. So I have 10 board of directors on my board, just on my board, and then I have 6 executive board members as well. So those are all volunteer individuals that volunteer each and every day, and all that volunteer work goes right back into the classroom as well. We also, it's critical to have a large pool of volunteers to help with day-to-day operations. Here's an example. My first year as principal, we were having a field day. I go to my assistant principal, I said, how many volunteers can I call up right now to be able to participate? And we had 4 or 5. My third year going into this job, I asked that same question, and we had 30 volunteers that just were able to show up because we planned for it, we knew who they were, we communicated to them what we needed, and once you communicate to families what you need, they're more than happy to reach across the aisle and say, yes, we need it. It was on the calendar, we knew it was in May, so those parents were already signed up for it. Our Veterans Day, we need volunteers for our Veterans Day. There's no reason that we cannot start getting volunteers to help with the Veterans Day. A K-12 parade to help with security in the building. No problem. That's all in the calendar. Parents can go to that calendar and look at it and say, you know what? I want to participate. I can't do 3 days a week, but I certainly can come and I can help out those specific days, and that's what's really important to us as well. We reach out to parents through numerous avenues. We have newsletters, parent letters. My first year as principal, I put together a parent focus group. It was one of those things that I thought that I wanted to get all the input I possibly could as my first year of principal. So I had this group of parents that came in monthly. They told me what was going well, what I needed to help with, what I needed to fix, what was in things that also were doing great. So I continue that as well. Anytime we have PTO events, Arts Foundation events, our website link, we have a volunteer link, and of course, anytime I send out a parent correspondence, it's please call me to what can we do to get you to volunteer to help in the building as well. I'd like to introduce Heidi Bungard, and as it was shared early in the session, the district office used to have a process that they used to follow to get volunteers. Because we're switching over that to more of a school-based decision, I thought it was really important to have a parent coordinator for the first time in the 3 years that I've been principal at the school. So I have a point person at the school. So whenever anybody calls the front office, it's not, I don't know who that person is, or they call the front office and they say, I'm not even sure we have a parent coordinator. The school knows that we have a parent coordinator at our school, and she organizes every aspect of every volunteer that comes through that building. So there's one point person. So if you are a volunteer or you are a parent here and you say, well, what's my school doing? You might want to contact your principal and say, what do you have, and is there a point person at this point? Ms. Bungard is going to talk about just a few things so she can share a couple thoughts as well.
Okay, my job is to build relationships with our volunteers. I will call and talk to every family, I'll talk to every parent, every grandparent, community members, and establish a relationship with them. Same with maintaining a relationship with our alumni students. So I will discuss the volunteer needs at our school, when we need someone to fill a position, when we have teachers say, I need help in my classroom, I can reach into this pool of volunteers and pull out a handful, or the parades, or the field day. They've been around. This is my third year working with volunteers at the school, and I have a lot of repeat volunteers. We established a great relationship. They come back year after year, and they know what they're doing. That's basically what I do. So and then when you call the school, you'll talk to me. So everyone will go through me, and everyone who fills out an application, I will talk to. I will call everyone.
I also want to share with you the tools that we use to get people in as well. So Ms. Ducko is going to talk to you a little bit about the next steps.
We're currently using a program called A to Z Connect. It's a free software. It's an app where you download or upload into your system, and it creates an online scheduler for your volunteers. And you upload your information in the event that you're having, and you put your time slots in and what's needed. So you're going to explain the event. For example, I will use Field Day since I was the one that had 4 volunteers, and now we are up to 30. It's quite the big event. You put in the time slots. So you explain your event. We have Field Day. This is what's going on. You have to separate it. We're a large school, so K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, they're on different days. Some parents have kids in both levels. They want to participate both days. So you have your time slots there, and they just pop their name in. We're going to be using this for the first time, actually. We tried a different program in the past. It didn't work out. This, again, is free software, and then they find the sponsors for you. Again, it's called A to Z Connect, and it's also an app. So whereas your parents are sitting in parent pickup, your nice 45-minute wait, they can see what's going on and what events are rolling out. What works for us also is we schedule everything in May. We sit down as a group. Anybody that has an event to bring to the table at grade level, arts, we plan ahead of time. It's on the calendar, so we know what to roll out 6 weeks in advance. Your time is valuable, and we want to utilize every aspect that we want your time with your children to be, and so you can spend time with them. I didn't bring my glasses. I have to walk up here a little bit. Parent callbacks. Very often you will hear parents say, I filled out a form, but nobody ever called me back. We're uploading that into our database as well, and we'll be able to say, I called you on this day, and I called you for Veterans Day, and you were not available. Okay, I've called this parent 4 times. We're going to track that now, be able to track our volunteers, see how they are responding to us, what they're available for based on their interests as well. Some people only want to do particular things. That's okay. That's okay. We like that. You have something you like, something you're good at, please be there. Increasing the communication between the parents and school. Parents are coming in the building, and it's awesome. They're coming to pick up their kids, and they say, oh, I didn't know you were having Dr. Seuss Day going on. Oh, absolutely. We have it every March. Well, it's the morning event. I'd love to come. Wonderful. I filled out a form. I never heard back from you. Ooh, that's not good. We've uploaded it now. We can look back and see. We've called you before, and you can say, I called you 3 times, nobody was available. What's wrong? Do I have a wrong number? Now you're developing a relationship with that parent and showing interest, and that's where you're going to gain their time. Also, communication, like we said, a month in advance. We actually have ours rolled out 6 weeks in advance now. And the most important thing for us, or for me, is saying thank you, and it's not through an email, and it's not, okay, I need everybody who volunteered for Dr. Seuss Day, please stand. This summer, I took it upon myself, and I carried around 25 envelopes that I addressed right before school got out, and they traveled for a couple states with me, but I hand wrote each thank you letter for Field Day this year. And I said, thank you so much for your time at the Dizzy Bat. Dizzy Bat was awesome, you rocked it. It was so much fun to watch your child, Jasper, go round and round, and if I had a picture, I included it. That's what you do. It's not about building relationships, you're raising their kids. You are their person. They give your babies to you every morning, and they pick them up every afternoon. They have to know that they're safe with you, and if they don't feel that they're safe, they're not going to want to volunteer at your school either. So building that relationship right there is the most important part. And for us also, we have numerous parents that come back when all their babies go to school. They don't know what to do with their time. And that goes to my next slide. Thank you, Heidi. They don't know what to do with their time. They want to come back to the school. I have one lady that, mom, currently has 4 kids. I said, I didn't even know you had 4 kids at our school. And they're split up from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. And she's available to come in. I'll sell lanyards. I'll do this. And I love seeing her now. She actually volunteered for me for Field Day. That's how we've made the connection, and we've become great friends. You're becoming friends with people, too. We realize you have a lot of common interests with parents. How do we find volunteers? Where do you get them? Where do they come from? Our school is hidden. in North Fort Myers in an area that I had to Google map it when I started working there. And I'm like, I can't find where I'm going. But once you find this gem, it's amazing. And that's any school in this district. Once you find it, it's this magical land of amazing teachers and volunteers and custodial staff and cafeteria. We have a foster grandparent program that we work with from the Dr. Piper Center. It is a government-funded program. I'm not sure even what they make an hour, but I know it's probably under $5 an hour. They are volunteering their time. It's a 55 and over program. We have retired school that come into our retired school teachers, retired principals that want to volunteer their time. We also have community leaders that just want to read, want to help in their area. We also use teacher volunteers and family members. And my favorite one is my daughter's grandparents are in town. They can't spend a lot of time with her. Can they attend this event? Absolutely. Have them fill out this form. Let's just clear this right here. And they bring it back. Anybody can come in and volunteer. If it's a family member, cousin, uncle, people, seasonal. We have a lot of 55 and over communities in our area, and we make sure that our flyers get up for our musicals, for our performances. Once they, get a taste of your school and they see how awesome it is, they want to be a part of it. So that's where you reach out and grab your volunteers. And at the end, we always send out an end of the year survey, or after each event this year, we'll be sending out a survey to see how everything went and what we can do to improve. Dr. Millens?
Thank you, Ms. Ducko. I think as a parent, as a volunteer, as a school board member, there's a number of principals in here. The information that we want to share with you is these are just some of the things that we do at the Academy. There are many schools, 100+ of them, that are doing amazing things each and every day with the students that you have and you provide us each and every day. The Academy is a unique school. It's a K-8 school. The only thing I can share with you as a principal, sharing with a parent, if I was sitting in front of you right now, is the number one thing you could be doing is being proactive, be involved, ask questions, be active with your school, and participate. Because research will share with you that if you do those things, your school, your students, everything will increase. And it's important to be involved. It's important to get to know what's going on in the school. I can tell you the volunteers in the school are like friends and family to us, because we want to make sure that they are successful, because if they're successful in their positions, then our kids are going to be successful, and that's the most important thing. I want to share with you, thank you so much. We'll be in the breakout sessions later today. We have some great ideas for you as well in those breakout sessions. I want to thank Mrs. Bungard and, of course, Mrs. Dutko for coming out tonight as well. And thank you, the parents, volunteers, educators, and principals here as well. Thank you.
Edward Massey, let's hear what you got to say.
Thank you. Well, before I talk, it's been a long day. Why don't you guys all stand up and just stretch out a little bit, because I know it's been a long, long day for you. Why don't you stand up real quick, and we'll walk behind the wall here a little bit. You guys stretch out a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit about South Fort Myers High School. All right, so I'm going to get this started because I know it's been a long day for you. And my name is Ed Matthews, and I am the principal of South Fort Myers High School. I'm honored. This will be my third year going into the school. And looking throughout the room here, I see former colleagues that I worked with as teachers. I see people that I had as teachers. I see people in here that I've had colleagues as assistant principals, different schools. Prior to South Fort Myers High School, I worked at Lehigh Senior High School, Island Coast High School, Riverdale High School, Varsity Lakes Middle School, Eastleigh County High School, and now blessed with South. So what I want to share with you is the fact that I appreciate everyone here listening to me, and I want to connect with you, because not only am I going to share about what we do through parent involvement and then ultimately student involvement, I would like to get you involved. So on your piece of paper, if you would, please write down my email address, which is edwardam@leeschools.net. Or you can just call the school. And the reason why I'm providing you that information is because as I talk through this, some of this we've had great success. Some of this we're building an infrastructure and we're looking to build out, and I'd love you to be a part of it. Okay? So up here on the screen, you will see that some of the things are very customary where you have your, in order to get parents involved at the high school level. We have 2,000 students. We have students all the way from Captiva, the Caloosahatchee River, all the way down to the Collier County border. And we go all the way over pretty much to I-75. So we have a very diverse group of students. We have a lot of students, and there's some students here and there, if their parents if their parents work in Fort Myers, they have a waiver, and as they drop them off to go to work, you know, so sometimes we have students that are pretty far away. The thing that makes South Fort Myers High School a really, really unique educational environment is that we're a comprehensive high school. So not only do we do the normal classroom sessions where you come in, you have your credits that you need to earn for your high school diploma, or the track to get you into whether it's community college or college itself here in the state, but we have a career track. And if you look up here, it says all about academies. We have our Agri-Science and Vet Academy. We have our Manufacturing Engineer Academy. We have our Computer Science, Public Service, Leadership, AP, and AVID. This year, we are really focusing on building those with parental involvement, and we're actually going to have open houses throughout the year where families can come in, and not only the families that we have currently at this time, but middle schoolers that can also come in and see what kind of different things do we offer that they could be a part of and get involved in. So for example, we have Ms. Sukovich, who's a Golden Apple teacher, who just started our Agri-Science program 2 years ago, and now unbelievable things are happening through FFNA, Future Farmers of America, and she recently took 10 kids up to the state competition, and now we have one on the state board, and none of that would have happened unless we had a parental volunteer, or I would say a team of parental volunteers that raised the money, helped the events that they were sponsoring in order for them to participate in that event. So it all comes down to parental support. You cannot do these programs without parental support. The Vet Academy speaks for itself. It's been going there for a while. We have Mark Jones, who's Teacher of the Year, who's been running that program. We have numerous people throughout the county who send their kids to South Fort Myers High School because they want to be a part of the Vet Academy, and a lot of them are veterinaries themselves, or they're in the animal hospital business, and they're very, very involved with our program. And a majority of all the things that we do at South are based off our parental involvement in the Vet Academy. And then the one right underneath there where it says Manufacturing and Engineering, this is really, really groundbreaking, I would say, for South Fort Myers High School. Last year, we introduced welding into the school. It was a class that I think for some, they were like, what's that really all about? Isn't that something we did way back in the old days? And now the need for welders is so high and the pay is so high that I actually have to limit the number of students that are in there, and they're fighting for those spots because of the amount of money that they're making at this time. And once you start having success, you start seeing other doors start to open up. And so now we have an electrical academy, and because I had the local electrical union stop by, and they say, you're doing such a great job with welders, can you please get us electricians? And so now we have so many people, we have these kids who are learning the electrical trade today. They are actually wiring a wall and learning how to wire switches and outlets and all those things in the class. And I had a student last year who didn't really know what to do with life, knew he didn't want to go to college, wanted to stay in the area. And I don't know if you've ever been to South Fort Myers High School. It's right off a plantation and at Gulf Coast Hospital. we got in contact with them, and he actually has gotten involved in the electrical apprentice program, and he's currently right now, he graduated in May. He's finishing his tryout session in the apprentice program, and he's making about $17 an hour. And they say as soon as he finishes up in 3 weeks, he's going into the journeyman program, and they've guaranteed him at the end of the 4 years that he'll make $55,000 a year. And that's all part of the contract. So more and more of those opportunities that we can provide our students where they can walk in, understand that this is the real deal, and it's totally changed the culture of our school, because now we have students who prior maybe were not that kid who wanted to go to college. Now they're very focused, behavior issues have gone down, school involvement's gone up. Why am I telling you all this? Because with these open houses and speaking to you and giving you my email address, I would love to get more business sponsorships. I would love to get more people, anybody in this room, if you would like to come to South and help out. I think it would be really, really exciting, and I think it would be good for our kids to see that not only are they important in the classroom, in the hallways, in the school itself, but that people out in the community realize how important they are and what they're doing and come in and also help them through that process. So, I got you. One thing at a time. And by the way, Ms. Downen works at South Fort Myers High School, so she's making sure that I'm on there. All right. And when you go down through there, you'll also see computer science, which we added cybersecurity, which is unbelievable pay in regards to cybersecurity. An actual high school student, we've actually had a student offered a job making about $60-some thousand doing cybersecurity, which is absolutely amazing, a year out of high school. And ultimately, then we have public service and leadership, which goes to our fire, our criminal justice, Army, and then Ms. Downen, I don't know why we didn't put it on there, but we also have the medical academy, which feeds into the CNA program, which feeds into medical doctor programs, et cetera. And then we have HOSA. And then all the way at the bottom, we have our AP, which is Advanced Placement, and AVID, which is our college track. So AP itself is our Cadillac academic program, and AVID is that bridge to take a student who's sort of a tweener, you know, in between, that just needs a little extra help, and we help them push them up to the next level. So there's a lot of exciting things. I think as North Fort Myers shared, that doesn't happen unless you have parental support. And so customary, you know, you have your athletic boosters, you have your band boosters, you have your open house, your senior parent night, all the things. I'm not going to read those to you. But you have to have those people come in and participate. And at the high school level, you do not realize what an event high school can really be until you go to a football game, until you go to a drama production, until you go to any of these productions where it's everything at this one moment, and then you just see parents that you never, you know, you need those people. You need your ticket takers. You need your timekeepers. You need people to escort the officials out to the football field. It really takes an army to make this happen. And from the high school perspective, getting involved in these organizations right here, they're run very similar as this. And we got to have volunteers, and we got to make sure that we keep filling those year after year after year in order for it to be successful. Going on this right here, I'd like to share a couple things that we're doing to get students involved. Today's been a long day for myself because before I got here, I actually had students come up to me and say, hey, we want to take more ownership into the school, and they created the PAC Leadership Committee, which sort of encapsulates everything right here. But one thing I really want to share with our AVID program, going off the lead of Lehigh Senior High School with their all-male leadership team, we created our own leadership team, which is the Pi Chi Alpha Pi, and then we created an all-female team. So these two leadership classes, we have our young men's leadership class and our young women's leadership class. It's a single gender class, and they take leadership opportunities not only in the school but outside the school, and it's been a huge success. And we're looking forward to actually promoting that more. And in fact, I believe the school district was out last week, and it'll be out on Facebook with some of our young ladies who could have went in a negative direction, but because of the fact that they have that family unit of these classes, they've totally turned their lives around and gone in a positive direction. And then if you look right there, it says the all-in rally team. That's something else that we added this year to get more kids involved. Every freshman at South Fort Myers High School participates in ROTC. And I don't know if anybody watches college football, but you know, you have Texas A&M and they have the 12th man and they all go crazy. And well, we brought that up. And so now the freshmen are allowed to come to our athletic events free and participate, and they cheer on all the kids, and they have organized cheers, they have all these different things. And in fact, recently we've had parents who have volunteered to help lead the kids in cheers and show them how to do things the right way. So all of this is summed up in the 2 words as our theme this year, which is all in. And being all in is every student, every teacher, every staff member, and most importantly, every parent community member to come into South Fort Myers High School and be the light that they need to move forward. You can see in the background there, it also goes with our medical academy, all in being one heartbeat. So one school, one heartbeat, one family. All of us doing the same thing in a cohesive movement each and every day. We've had a lot of success. I see this year building upon that success because of it. And I'll brag for the teachers because I have a couple here that with their hard work. Last year we had the 2nd highest academic gains out of all the high schools in the district. And out of all the schools, I think you were 3rd or 4th highest academic gains. So a lot of positive things are happening. And like I stated earlier, you have my email. You can go to the school website, you can go to our social media, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Please get involved. I would love for you to be involved and be a part of this exciting, positive trend at South Fort Myers High School. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to speak to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout groups. That's the elementary will be down the hall and across the hall. We'll be going that way, and the middle school and the high school will go down the hall, take the first left, and there's 2 classrooms back there. Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, we kind of rearranged the rooms this year. Yes. So elementary, we're actually just going to have you meet here right in training room D. If you go out this way, it's going to be a left. The door is propped open. Training room A is going to be for middle school, and then training room B is for the high school people.
Always changes. Now hold on, one more thing. All your groups will have to work right away on getting a co-chairs. This is ones that'll be in chair each of your groups. You have to do a vote somebody in, because they'll be on the executive committee. And the people who are in charge of that are on the executive committee, please explain it to the group. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to get started. We're running a little late. High school group, want to do your report?
No mic drop today. Okay, my name is Joan Downen. Myself and Stephanie Shervani were elected as the chair and vice chair of the high school group. We started off with questions about the SAC minimum meetings and when they were coordinated with. The DAC meetings. We had one school who is now actively trying to coordinate SAC meetings so that they coincide with DAC meetings so that there's a better flow of communication, and we feel like that's a good response. We were also looking for what number on the ballot the sales tax increases. Turns out we did find out the answer by the end of the meeting that there is no number. It's just the last one on the ballot. There was a question concerning Castle 2.0 and the volunteerism where they are using that app A to Z. We were looking at Castle 2.0 but found out that if parents have access to using Castle, they don't know how to do it. So it might be a coordination issue that needs to be worked out district after the software is up, but everybody loved the idea of the software, thought it would be easier for parents and even students to be able to find something to do, to be able to pick an event and do that. We didn't have Miss Wilkie come into our room until like the last 5 minutes, so we created this list of questions that she tried her best to answer in 5 minutes. So a lot of these questions were answered in the group, but I'm going to go ahead and lay them out anyway, and they'll go into the minutes, and then that way everybody in the group will get the answers. Is the parent coordinator a school position? And if yes, what is their area of expertise? We learned that Title I schools can have a full-time or a half-time paid position depending upon the budget of that school, so that the woman that was here representing North Fort Myers Academy of the Arts, she is a paid position. We didn't ask, I don't remember the answer if it was full or part, but she was a paid position. So Title I schools do have the right to have one. However, the other schools, it's just a matter of how they budget for it. Questions of district school volunteer programs. We wanted to know the coordination between the high schools and the district, whether or not if a parent wants to volunteer, do they go directly to the school, or are they filtered through the district? And we learned that it is directly to the school, and that she's working on paring down her work that she's doing as far as funneling to the high schools, and in a more, she works with the principals instead. We talked about partnering high schools with middle schools and middle schools with elementary to get the parents involved, because Myers Academy of the Arts had the K through 8, whereas the rest of us may have only the 3 years of middle school, the 4 years of high school. And it's a very short time commitment and maybe doesn't build up as much school pride. So if there was a flow of the parents through where the high schools go to the middle school and the middle schools go to the elementary school, and kind of create some kind of a flow and continuum, and that it might help with volunteering. We'd like to see a link for volunteer info, the pros and cons and what works for each school to be developed by the district and available for the school principals. We'd like to know what schools use the app to sign up for volunteer programs besides North Fort Myers Academy of the Arts. Okay. And outreach for volunteer hours to the students for bright futures. A volunteer co-op where you can earn something for your group to use toward another event, leading to the possibility of an open forum site to show need for volunteers to sign up, both parents and students. Guidance counselors after all schools, setting up time with juniors and seniors. Are all schools doing this so that they are aware of programs, scholarships, and sports scholarships available? We also had an opinion that we'd like the table set up better in an open circle in our room. And the question of what guidelines for hiring coaches at all school grade levels. What are the hiring guidelines? There you go.
Have elementary next.
We only have one major unanswered question, which is how do we get a volunteer coordinator position in every school, both Title I and non-Title I, because everybody wants one. That is our, and we did our vote, and Cedric and I remain unchallenged to this day. So that's all.
Now middle school.
I'm going to email you a long version.
Middle school was extraordinarily active tonight. We only have like 34 things for me to tell you about. But first we elected 2 new chairpersons. Gina Gossett is going to be our new co-chairperson and be primary, and Dorina, I'll probably say it wrong, Camarado agreed to be our co-chairperson, and that took a while to get some volunteers going there. So that was an interesting after our topic. So then the list of items that were issues that we raised is how do we get the message out to community members who don't have kids in school about volunteer opportunities? How do we market this idea that our schools need volunteers, you know, to the community at large? We had some good thoughts or suggestions from people thinking there's a lot of people in the community that might have time to donate or volunteer but don't think about it because they don't have children currently in school. We learned that we asked the question, is there a way to adjust the volunteer form to make it electronic? Ms. Wilkie was in our room for a long time. That's probably why she didn't get to see the other folks. She informed us that it already is electronic, and every school has it in English and Spanish. What was interesting is our room universally told her that almost everyone in the room had filled out a volunteer form and everyone had done it in paper, and none of them were aware that it was electronic. So that's the issue to go back to the district to make sure that that there's better communication with the schools to the parents about there being electronic forms available, that the links are placed on the website and that people can use those. There was also a request that the student's name and student's teacher's name be added to the volunteer form, I guess particularly in the middle schools and maybe even the elementary schools from what it sounded like. That's very useful then for coordinating the volunteers and making that happen. And it was difficult sometimes to put the volunteers together with their children or other aspects at the school that would make for a better volunteering experience for both sides. Someone else gave the idea that we wanted to share forward of a volunteer blitz throughout the county on one or multiple days. So the idea is a coordinated effort that every school at the same time we get some media involved in marketing about this idea of like a volunteer day at all the schools as a way to create buzz and get some synergy from all the schools trying to do something together. Okay. I'm reading the notes. If schools want parents to volunteer, the earlier the message gets out to parents, the better. Encouraging principals to keep the school calendars updated and post events far in advance so parents know what's going on at the school or volunteers may be needed. And then there was a concern raised about the structure of the DAC meetings, that when we have 2 long presentations per meeting that it's too much, and that people want more of an opportunity to give feedback during the general meeting or in the breakout sessions. It's important to always have the breakout sessions. Some people do want to give feedback, but they don't want to take a mic and speak in front of the whole group, but they're willing to share their thoughts in the breakout session, and they want to make sure there's an opportunity to do that with somebody to respond to them or hear them. And there was expressed a feeling for some people that have been here before that the group is not accomplishing what it was set up to do, and they want to be sure that there's more of a feedback loop back and forth between the DAC members and the school district. And honestly, the people that said they're volunteering their time, and if it's not accomplishing something, why should they do it? So that's something that we should all think about in our breakout sessions. That was it. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we're going to have any public comment on non-DAC agendas. Moving on. Anything for the good of the order? I have a motion to adjourn. Motion in your name. Do I have a second? All in favor say aye. Anybody opposed, stay here.